Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Heart of Champions, and this is from director Michael Mailer, and is focusing on a group of last year Ivy League college students who are on a crew team. We're really fighting for the national championship when a new coach comes in and really shakes things up for them. They want to take down Harvard. And this is actually produced by the Winklevoss twins, who helped create Facebook and were a big part of the social network, which is very interesting. But, you know, they were rowers, and Harvard rowers at that. And this film, here's the thing. Probably for like the first half of this movie at least, I felt like I've seen every single one of these scenes before. I've heard the same exact dialogue. I've seen these same exact beats. This is one of the most unoriginal films that I've watched in a while. It just feels like, okay, let's copy and paste everything that we can get from other sports movies or movies about teachers and just throw this in here, make the same jokes, make the same speeches, make the same beats. And it was really unsatisfying sitting there being like, rolling my eyes like I've seen that before, I've heard that before, this is so familiar, which is not a good thing when you're trying to watch a film, and this winds up being extremely predictable until the third act. I feel like this film takes sharp tonal issues, and Mailer, I think, doesn't really handle it very well because things get dark and tragic real quick out of nowhere. And up to this point, it feels like a lot of the stakes have just been like, oh, I'm not going to make the team and stuff like that. And then there's these other crazier stakes that come into play that I just feel completely out of nowhere and really threw me out of the film. I was enjoying it up until that point. That moment really dropped it for me, and I can't say that like I necessarily liked this movie. It felt so strange and out of nowhere where this story shifted, and you have Michael Shannon here playing this coach who dealt with all the most cliche dialogue imaginable, but like he still gives his very intense, strong Michael Shannon presence to this film. You have MacNicoll, who is the young man on this team who really seems to know what he's doing, but he's clashing with Alexander Ludwig's character, Alex, who's supposed to be the big star. His dad is part of the university, played by David James Elliott, who is a really good, like, disgusting human antagonist in this film. You want to root against him because he is such a jerk and such a terrible father and abusive emotionally, at least. And you have all of this going on. There's a lot of moving pieces. You have a lot of different characters. You have MacNicoll and Ludwig's characters, John and Alex, not only fighting for a spot, like their spots on the team, but also fighting over the same woman. You have Charles Melton's character, Chris, who's been through a lot. And when it's revealed what he's been through, it's very intense. And him trying to develop this love story, which felt ripped right out of like Good Will Hunting. It just felt like there's so much borrowed or drawn upon in this film from other films that it really doesn't feel like I watched a fully original film here. It feels like somebody cherry-picked so many different ideas and just threw them together. And in general, they work pretty well together. Mailer does a fine job of directing this film. Even if it does have some iffy special effects, those crew scenes where they're actually rowing, they're pretty intense and well shot. This film just deals with so much cliches and tropes, but also crazy, over-the-top melodrama that does not feel like it fits into most of the story that's being told in this film. And by the end, you just feel like you're all cliched out. You probably walk away thinking like, I've seen this movie before, and there's no real heft or weight or consequences at that point. You're just like, I've seen this all before, whatever. And that's tricky and happens when you lean too heavily on a lot of commonplace things that happen in genres. But in general, you have some strong performances here. Really, Michael Shannon was a standout to me, and James Elliott also does a fantastic job in his role. Charles Melton was probably the most interesting performance out of the young men on this team, But in the end, this is a pretty forgettable and predictable true story that runs on for 2 hours. Probably didn't need to be that long either. You could probably found some places to trim things up and tighten up a bit. But in general, this one is not quite okay for me. I don't know I would go back and watch this again. I've definitely seen all these other scenes done better in other films. So what would be the point? But if you are big into sports movies, this might be something for you. You could check it out and, have some fun with it. I ordered it on Amazon.com through Prime Video, but it's also on other VOD websites as well. But, like I said, if you're big into sports films, maybe you'll get a kick out of this. If not, this one just tries to do too much with too little effort and not enough characterization for us to really care about the characters in depth. But those are my thoughts on Heart of Champions. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.